Hello and welcome. It's that time of the week. It's the Deep in Happy Hour. Happy Thursday. The markets are in turmoil, but we are surviving and thriving nonetheless, and everything's going to be fine. But how are you guys this fine Thursday evening? Will looks like he's having a grand old time.
Tyler,
Cigar in
happy you
hand.
asked. I am great. I am fantastic. I feel like regardless of where the charts are, regardless of where the prices are, I know sentiment's at an all-time low. I feel like Deepin's in a really good spot right now with a lot of great opportunities, lots of growth, lots of things being tried out, lots of TGEs coming up. I could not be more excited. So yeah, that's why I got the cigar out tonight.
It's a cigar evening. We're gonna have to do a collective group cigar happy hour one of these days. We can all meet up in person for. I don't know any cigar lounges near me that I can keep my computer up and stream, but
Nice. Yeah, he's also just celebrating that recent short that he had on Bitcoin, right?
I wish I had 1000x Aster short on Bitcoin. That'd be fantastic.
Man, it's funny. Like, yes, the markets are in complete turmoil, but we even said that like sentiment is pretty low, but perhaps this is just my own bias. Like, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that the sentiment is low. I think people are just a little sad about price not being a little like higher. But generally speaking, I mean, D-pins are still delivering. People are working and getting clients. I mean, I could speak 375 right now and tell you like tomorrow morning, my man Harry's got a meeting, and we're gonna close some deals, right? So like
closing them deals, baby. It's the
things are
thing that
fine.
matters.
Things are fine. Like the builders are still building. The only people that are crying are the folks that, maybe bought in during the hype and not much else,
Yeah. Well, Brad says this, I think, every day on his stream, but the fundamentals have never looked better. And that continues to be true. That continues to be true. By the way, Quez, I read a message from you earlier in the day about a mango mezcal beverage. Does that happen to be what's in your glass right now, sir?
You got it. So I used to be a very heavy, like, dark liquor guy, like almost exclusively just drinking dark liquor, specifically Hennessy. I loved Hennessy. And then I got older and I was like, man, like this is just kind of weighing on me quite a lot. So I switched over to tequila. And then before long, hey, what's up, Ken?
What's up?
And then before long, my girlfriend's brother, he's a bartender, and he put me on the mezcal. So I tried it and I really hated it at first. But I kept wanting more. And then as I continued to drink it, it became so much of I hate to call it an acquired taste. It just became something that I really, really enjoy, like a nice smoky element over something sweet like mango. Just phenomenal. And yes, that is precisely what I'm drinking tonight. Thank you for calling that out.
Heck yeah.
So you know what I had the other day, which was a first for me. Did not know this existed. Never heard of it. Was a mezcal old fashioned.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty darn delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. This is naturally smoky on its own. So, there's not a whole ton of theatrics. And then you complement it with something like an orange, which you'll find in some of your old fashioned or bitters, whatever it is.
Bitters, yeah. Bitters, yeah, I like
right?
that. Bitters. It's a new one.
Yeah, sorry. My English is not very good looking, okay? Sorry.
No,
But yeah, no hablo muy bien. And the cherries and all that stuff. So, like, again, I think it's that same concept, right? You have something sweet with something smoky. Perfect mix.
Damn. I have some
I love
mezcal.
that.
I need to knock that out. I'll put some Britters in there. I get a British accent when I drink
like
it.
that. Britters.
Yeah.
Ken, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show. Always happy to see you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Ken, it's been
I
a
don't
long
know,
time, man.
Yeah, it was what? You and me, yeah. I don't know if it's endearing or annoying that we all still haven't figured out how to get our names and titles listed the same way.
That's
we
part of the
literally have 5 different ways to do it between the 5 of us.
Yeah,
we have to showcase the diversity of naming conventions on a live stream.
In a decentralized live stream, we got to be decentralized in our naming conventions too.
No single convention counts. We're all in consensus that this is okay to start, but none of them is the standard, which is fine. But speaking of things that are fine and maybe even grand, Ken, I heard some recent news that Tashi is doing their TGE.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of people that maybe want to get exposure who haven't ran nodes, or maybe just kind of been watching from a distance and keeping an eye on you guys, might be interested in participating. Can you share some juicy details for us about Tashi's TGE?
Yeah. Well, so December 2nd, we are doing our launch pool. We're doing it with Metaplex. And then on December 4th is our TGE, official TGE. And between now and then, I would get in on the missions program so you can earn some XP so you can participate in the season 1 rewards that we will be emitting a few weeks after TGE. So lots of opportunity to participate. So whether you're referring people and getting the referral bonuses or running nodes, because they're super, super easy and free to run, by the way. And actually during season 2, you will be able to run. So right now, to run a node, you need to have a balance of Tashi on Solana's DevNet. And that's free through our faucet. On TGE, we're shutting that faucet off. So if you have a balance left on DevNet of the Tashi token on DevNet, you will continue to be able to run your nodes during season 2, post TGE. The only way to add a new node is to go get mainnet Tashi. So what I'm getting at is worst case scenario, go get some DevNet Tashi now and run some nodes so that you can continue running those during season 2 and earning Tashi. And then when we do the airdrop of Tashi, because the season 1 airdrops offset from TGE, then you can take those rewarded real mainnet Tashi and use that to run your nodes, continue running your nodes and earning.
Mm-hmm.
See, we're just like,
So
we're just
Ken's
like,
what I'm hearing is you're telling us how to game the system, Ken. It sounds
Well,
like
so-
intentional design, though.
intentional. I like that. It's intentional design because the goal originally was we wanted our missions program to allow people to earn enough real Tashi to run a node post TGE. That was our original goal is that season 1 would earn you enough. The problem is we didn't want to do the airdrop for season 1 on the same day as TGE. There's just too much stuff going on. So we're like, okay, we're going to do the airdrop a few weeks after that. So season 1's airdrop is going to be a few weeks after TGE. And then we were like, well, dang it. If we do that, then what happens to all the nodes that are running at TGE that are going to suddenly get shut off because you need real Tashi? And so the answer to that was we're going to continue with season 2 and let people continue to run nodes during season 2 off of their DevNet Tashi. And when they get their real Tashi a few weeks later, they can continue to launch new nodes in season 2 and earn more Tashi for season 2 airdrop, which will be larger than season 1's airdrop. So
I guess I'm curious, like what is it that the Tashi nodes are doing in DevNet that would be valuable for you guys? Like say I've been running like 4 or 5 nodes this whole time, and then now we're going into mainnet. What's the purpose of me running a node that's still on DevNet aside from the rewards that you just explained? Like, what is it doing for the protocol if those nodes are not on the same network?
So the way that we did it is a little different than what everybody else in the world is doing, where you're buying an NFT that allows you to run a device, or you're buying hardware that comes with an NFT that allows you to run that device. And the NFT, if it lived on DevNet, it wouldn't do you any good on mainnet, right? In our case, we have what is called a bonding model, which is you stake your Tashi on either DevNet or mainnet, and then you activate or register your node with the orchestrators. And then you do a double sign transaction, both from the node's key and from your wallet's key that says, hey, my wallet that has this balance of Tashi staked is also the owner or the operator of this node. So that's the bonding process. And we go, okay, you have enough Tashi. You got to have 10,000 Tashi to run one node. You have 10,000 Tashi either on DevNet or mainnet. And we just check each one and go, okay, that's good. Now your node is active and available for jobs. So we're still technically in what we call our alpha phase, our alpha net phase. And we're going to be in alpha for a while, probably through season 2. And then we're going to go into beta. And I want to stay in beta as long as possible. Just like Gmail was in beta for like 15 years. beta relieves a lot of liability as we're trying to figure things out and build stuff out. So, but you're going to be earning that whole time, and we're going to be building demand. So the node is not technically on DevNet or mainnet Solana. The node is just a node that's earning revenue as we bring in customers.
Got it.
The question is what are you bonding it with? Are you bonding it with DevNet Tashi or mainnet Tashi? And for season 2, we're going to let people use both. And then season 3, we're cutting it off and saying it's only mainnet Tashi will be used for bonding.
I think that's incredibly generous, quite frankly, because I mean you're opening the opportunity for people to start earning rewards in Tashi without having to, I mean, put any capital in. Quite frankly, I mean, sure, there's like the element of work of like them having to use their resources, and they got the computers and all the like. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is like a slight pivot on the conversation, but I have a really hot take about I guess TGEs and how communities are being rewarded, like what they're being rewarded for. My at a very high level is simply that I think that we need to go back to the days where you would buy something or be a user of a product, or in other words, have some kind of skin in the game in order to be eligible for any sort of reward or airdrop. Like all of this recent activity, I guess, around like airdrop farming, I think has become a net negative for people in crypto, for like projects and even airdrop farmers alike. Sure, they can build up capital, but they're not necessarily building or contributing to anything meaningful because it's just like, let me just use it at an arm's length, kind of be around, get as much as I can for doing as little as possible, and then move on and do it again, right? So you've also built no skills, no skin in the game. So very high level pieces there, but
I would say the skin in the game is the time and energy you're spending on things, and so and if it's convertible to something that's real in the end. So, for example, like brands spend tens of millions of dollars for a 30-second spot during the Super Bowl. Brands that everybody already knows, right? It's not like they're getting new reach, right? They've already reached everybody who's going to know their brand. But they're remaining relevant. They're trying to stay relevant in their customers' minds. And so that's just a marketing expense to them. Tens of millions of dollars for a 30-second spot for a marketing expense. And so businesses spend that type of money all the time. And I think of marketing as a core business function. So if you're spreading the word about Tashi and you're getting more people aware of what we're building, even if you're not going to be a user or a customer, you're a channel sales partner to me or a channel marketing partner to me. And I'm happy to pay you for that and reward points. Now, the real goal is at the end of that transaction, I need to be able to like measure the ROI on that and say, okay, because of this effort, we got this many customers or this many new operators. That's the equation we have to think of. During this phase, we're in like grow awareness phase. And we actually have some people, this is your point's incredibly relevant because we actually have some people in Discord who are complaining that you're getting rewarded almost as much for a referral as you would for running a node. And they're getting a little annoyed about that. This one guy in particular in our Discord was getting annoyed about that. I was like, yeah, during season 1, I'm fine with that. In season 2, it's going to shift. And by season 3, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of points for referrals. You're going to get all your points for either running a node or referring somebody who runs a node or a customer. Like we're going to expand that into customers. So I think there are just phases of business growth where you can do it in different ways. And we're trying to be as fair and like revenue oriented as possible, as opposed to like, let's just pump this token and get as many people airdrop farming. It's like, no, let's like focus on how do we grow our actual network of operators, and then how do we grow our customer base. So season 1, I'm okay, kind of like just building awareness. Season 2 and 3 are going to be more focused on revenue.
I like that. It's a dynamic model in that sense where you're I don't want to say fluctuating, but you're shifting based on what's needed from the business at that specific time. So yeah, I mean, interesting way to think about it. Having just gone through TGE at 375, like I felt like there was a massive amount of expectations from people that maybe didn't necessarily use our product or felt like they wrote a few tweets to their 25 followers, which I'm not trying to knock people for having small followings or anything, but like to your point, right? Like what was the return on that effort that I could demonstratively say, oh, okay, well, you've helped us gain 5 new operators, or
Yep.
you got me a interview with some Solana podcast, whatever, right? Like something measurable.
Yep.
And then I got these motherfuckers talking to me about like, oh, I deserve at least like $15,000 for that. I'm like,
Yeah.
Hard
Some people
pass.
get a little spoiled, and not during a bear market as well.
So yeah, I was curious.
Well,
to
Quiz, I think it's people's expectations are still blown from like 2021. I still don't understand how people have the expectations that they had back 4 years ago. Like where people were getting $1 million airdrops for doing nothing, right? I think those days are pretty much over, but people still expect them to come back to a degree. I don't know.
To be fair, I mean,
they happen though.
I was going to say, like, to be fair, no one, I feel like the inverse happened in 2021, which is like people didn't really have expectations. Right? Like, I remember getting involved in Top Shot just like, oh, this is this new thing. Like, my homie put me on, and I was like, all right, this is cool. And then, I would buy a moment for $5. And then if it was LeBron James, it was suddenly worth $2,200. Just one moment out of the pack of 10 that I would get, right? So it's like, I think it's the inverse. It's like people saw what you could have gotten way back when, and it's now with the lens that you have from before, you're like, oh, well, it's not impossible to get back to those evaluations, even though before it was just straight mania, So,
but you also need different like macroeconomic factors to achieve that. I think just like a lot of froth, lots and lots of froth, which we don't have right now.
Well, the other thing, I mean, there is that, but like you've got crypto prices that are at multiples that are significantly more than what they were back then. The problem is that there's been so much dilution in the sense that there's a million different tokens and projects out there that it makes it hard for these things to, like when there was one game in town, it wasn't one game in town. It's one thing for the market to go to where it was, but when you've got like hundreds of thousands of projects,
back when it was ETH1 and MetaMask.
Yeah.
No, that's not even that. But like now you've got like a million freaking meme coins that are out there. Like you've seen the same thing where all the liquidity gets drawn up into so many of these
bunch of bullshit
things. And it's like, yeah, the volume's high, but there's no like value. There's very little value accrual that's going on.
Yeah.
It is true. There actually, I think there's 27 million tokens that are tracked right now. But this is kind of interesting that the top 50 have 98% of the total market cap.
That's actually insane.
Yeah. So like the vast majority of those are dead. Like a lot, like millions of those are just dead. So yeah. So that does, like, thinking about it from that perspective, it does made me reconsider it. Like, okay, yeah, 27 million tokens, but the fact that 98% is in the top 50, like you don't need that much in some of these projects for them to run, man. You don't need a large percentage. So, but the dilution is real, though, for sure.
Brian, man, I know you were feeling a little unwell, but you mustered your strength and you're here now.
He looks great, Quez. He looks great. What are you talking about?
Yeah, look great. Yeah, if I keep having to like mute myself and like turn the video off because I keep coughing up a lung. Anyway,
never good.
Yeah, it's been a long year, but we're almost to the end of it. So praise God.
Yeah, word. Almighty. Brian, tell me, what's one of your perspectives right now on DPIN? We were talking at the beginning of the show how sentiment seems to be a little bit down, but the fundamentals look as good as ever. Is there anything sticking out to you as, oh wow, like I can't wait to see this in a bull market, or I can't wait to see this project in 5 years, whatever you want to call it. Something that you're interested in.
It's all the new stuff coming out right now. Honestly, it's 375 AI, it's Tashi, it's Conduit. What else is coming out? I just feel like everything new right now that's been baking for the last few years, they've been able to watch all these TGEs and all these tokenomic models come and play out. And now that we're in the bottom of the market, well, I hope we're at the bottom of the market, and we're seeing a lot of these projects really, you're starting to see them talk a little bit more about their token prices. meaning they need capital. And yeah, now that we're seeing their token models kind of fall apart a little bit, uh, I think the newer projects have a really big opportunity to really set the stage, as well as they're more worried about product market fit and actually having a product and bringing in revenue. And they are considering things like Tyler likes to preach on, which is, hey, you can't just continue to dump all your revenue back to your deployers, because you need that revenue to grow. And how does that model look? How does that model work? What does that model look like? And I think we're just spending a lot of time on the right things as an industry right now, as a category.
Yeah, it's nice to
Maturing.
see.
Maturing.
Indeed.
Definitely.
It's nice to see that this maturation has happened, but it only comes after a result of so many other people making mistakes as well, right? Like, I mean, I know sometimes I don't want to say I rag on Helium all too often, but like, again, big shout out to them, because like they had to be the ones to step out into the fire first in order to figure out what does work and what doesn't. And the fact that they're even, as large as they are today, despite all of the things that maybe haven't been perfect in the last 4 or 5 years, I think is still also a wonderful thing to celebrate. So
I keep saying this, and I think it's true, is that this whole thing is one big case study, and you just keep figuring out what to iterate on. And, like, everybody's got to try all these different approaches. And like, we're starting to, I mean, even today, or not today, but like, Ken and I have spent a ton of time talking about tokenomics. We've spent a ton of time talking about valuation models, how you kind of look at these things. And so, like, I've in my order of prioritization around how different networks are doing certain things, I've really started to reprioritize how things like open market buys or this additional buy pressure, sort of what is the net sell pressure for maybe over supplying rewards to supply participants. And like, we just didn't have enough data to really substantiate any ideas. Like, there was all, we've talked about this a million times. There's so many different ways that you can think through. Okay, well, how do you make this model a little bit better? How do you apply it to this? But at the end of the day, that only works once you get to back test it against data points. And so now we're starting to get the data points to be able to do some of those back tests a little bit. And so it's good that there's going to be things that come and go along the way, because Facebook came after MySpace. That's the end all be all for how these.
Are you saying we're out of our MySpace era, Tyler? Are you saying we're almost out of our MySpace era? Is Tom still around?
Tom's chilling, man.
Is he a photographer now?
I don't know, but I was working on this presentation for something that may be coming up soon, and I was going back and looking at the last one that I had done a couple years ago, and it was kind of wild to me that so many of the things that I was talking to Brad about this, back then, before I think Deepin projects really had their moment, there was so much conversations like, okay, can we build a sustainable supply side? That part of the conversation was solved. And so now, like, we've had between 3 years ago and today, there's been like 7 different things that we've kind of iterated on. It's like, okay, what's the revenue model look like? Kind of what's the continued tokenomics model look like after you've actually started to get demand? Like, there's all these things that we said, these are going to be important, but we had no way to actually validate, was the approach taken by these projects over time working or going to work or not. You can make your projections, you can make every model that you want under the sun, but at the end of the day, like, until it happens in the real world, you cannot, you just, it's all numbers on a spreadsheet. So it's going to be a good thing for the net. It's the net benefit of the long-term Deepin success that will be the beneficiary there. So,
well, I think one thing's for certain: you cannot do a TGE on a project and not have revenue for 5 years. It's just not going to work at this point. You gotta launch your token. You got to get revenue flowing, because otherwise, it doesn't matter how good your tokenomics are. It's going to fail or struggle, at least for a very long time.
What do we think would be like appropriate revenue numbers? Like, what is Helium doing right now? I did a quick Google and it was like 18.3 million.
Yeah, I don't.
Annual.
I know Helium Mobile. If you look at DeFi Llama, I think you can probably pull it up.
Yeah, isn't it like 7 million that they're on track to do this year, or that they've done?
It's like 18 or
it's like 18.
Okay. Well, I would think that number would apply to that number would be different across different sectors, wouldn't it, Ken? Like, wouldn't that apply? Like, we can't really just give like a blanket
19.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, what does a normal MVNO generating revenue? Like, what is an average MVNO revenue? Annual revenue?
I guess we have to ask Ryan Reynolds, Mint Mobile. We'll find out.
So, Ken, I'm going to send you I was going to send this to you, and I was going to send it to Brad because I know he's also a geek about this stuff. But I was listening to this guy give a presentation where he was going through and basically talking about buy sell impact based on liquidity, and that like the market cap that you have should be like proportional to the liquidity that is in the market, that is in the token. And so it was just an interesting revelation. That's like
the market cap.
The market cap of the token, because the revenue that you have will, like, if through buybacks, burns, whatever it may be, depending on the relationship between the liquidity and the market, there's like a interesting parallel between how much net sellers can push the price down at certain relationship intervals. And so so you're quite this is kind of a long-winded answer to say, I think that the revenue required is relational to the liquidity and market cap relationship.
Well, okay, so what is that relationship? What's that relative relationship like?
Yeah, I'm curious too.
What does revenue, or I should, maybe a better way to think about it is, what does market cap represent relative to revenue? Because in a normal company, there's very clear calculations for that, right? Out in the world, and 19 million is a relatively small MVNO in normal world without having to pay out anybody in tokens.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead, Quest.
I don't know if I was going to add anything meaningful here, but like, I guess my high level thoughts, mind you, I'm retarded, is perhaps it also matters by industry, because like a restaurant doing 19 million is something like astronomical, given that that's their industry. But like a company that sells data only doing 19 million, probably not too good. So I think it also depends where they're focused on, like what the total addressable market of that particular industry might be.
So I mean, so here's been my historical take on this, which is that the price of the token at a really, really high level should be the discounted value of all future revenue that'll come in as like buy pressure, divided by the future net emissions plus whatever the historical emissions have been. And that gives you kind of like, it can be a multiple of that, 10-1, whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. The thing that's started to potentially change my mind in that relationship a little bit is that there's, because liquidity does move price, which can impact the buy burn rate, all of these other things, 100%, it still needs to be based on like, what is the revenue? What is the opportunity? Because that would impact the future revenue that could impact the relationship between either pulling markets out of the network or other things. But there is what's kind of compelling data around like liquidity to market cap relationship, which is going to be impacted by buy pressure coming from the network with their revenue. And if the relationship between the liquidity and the market cap is so high, where like the buy pressure doesn't move the needle as much as it could if there was like maybe a shorter gap, there could be additional variables related to how those two factors play into each other as it relates to revenue. Of course, that's going to be orthogonal to the network market cap. But I just was looking at this data. I'm like, this is kind of interesting. I'm going to send it to you because I watched the video once. So
but the two numbers you're talking about are token market cap and token liquidity.
Correct.
Which neither one of those has a direct relationship to revenue at all.
It does, though, in the case of either a buyback and burn, because the buy pressure has to be like in a deep network. Part of what we're seeing is there's like a net sell pressure that can get exacerbated when there's this small liquidity compared to whatever the market is. And so that, again, this just the data point that this guy was showcasing was kind of how that relationship, and then what should the market cap be based on how much buy pressure is coming in for that liquidity to market cap relationship. That was what this guy walked through on this data model.
But there are other mechanisms other than buyback and burn. I mean, buyback and burn is, I would say, similar. It's like it's kind of like issuing dividends while also burning stock at the same time. or issuing dividends by burning stock. And so
I'm being, to be clear, his specific thing was buybacks, not necessarily burns, but I get your point.
But even with buybacks, right? So even with buybacks, you're basically issuing dividends. You're taking your revenue and you're issuing dividends to people who have shares, but you're doing it by buying it back. And in stock, we do buybacks as well, right? So it's a similar model.
But they're burning it.
Yeah, but the burning part is what is the dividend issuance equivalent. So when you burn it, you're not changing the value of the total network, but decreasing the circulating supply.
Mm-hmm.
So you're effectively increasing the value of everybody's tokens equally. And so you're basically taking value from one place, which is revenue, and transferring it to all of your token holders through the burning model, right? And buyback is more direct, right? Buyback is like, hey, if it's available, I'll buy it back. That will affect liquidity. It'll affect all kinds of other things as well. It'll affect transaction volume, which are all good metrics. So I like buybacks. Buybacks make a lot of sense. Burns, I always think, like, at what maturity stage does a company start doing dividends before you start? So I think of those as equivalent. So as a company, when do I start issuing dividends to my shareholders? That's about the same time I'm thinking that burns make sense. And most of these companies are way too small to be issuing dividends. And they're still way too early in their growth phase to start issuing dividends.
So I think that's true. Like in most cases, if you look at a network that says, hey, we're going to buy back 80% with the revenue, in most cases, they need that revenue to be able to grow and scale. I do think, though, that there is an argument to be made around the fact that tokens are not stock. Tokens are like a multifaceted instrument. And as a result of that multifaceted nature, they can't be treated on a one-to-one to what a stock is, because they're not used as the medium of exchange within the network. So that does impact some of the ways that these things should be treated.
You're talking about stocks aren't being used as a medium of exchange.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, and in Tashi, it's not a medium of exchange either.
So. I'm not saying from a Tashi, I'm saying as like a holistic kind of deep in market. One of the things that, anyway, so I agree with what you're saying.
My point is that revenue is going to be generated by deep in projects in USD or euro or yen or something else, right? That's where revenue is coming from. And what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we are going to distribute that revenue upside by doing buybacks and burns. In our case, we're just saying, now we're just going to issue a stable coin. Cool. So your yield is coming in the form of something that is backed by the thing that we collected to render the service.
1-to-1.
That's your yield, right?
Right.
And having tokens collateralizing your nodes increases your likelihood of also getting selected. So the more you stake to your nodes, the more likely you are to get selected. And if you're selected, now you're going to earn rewards. So there's a very direct, and even if you don't have a node and you're doing delegated staking, you're earning just by delegated staking. So there is a yield model that's very directly related to revenue in the Tashi model. But I also want to entertain the idea of burning at some point, doing buybacks and burns at some point. I just don't want to do that too early. And so my questions are really along the lines of, I don't see anybody that's big enough to justify, because effectively I know it's not stocks and I know it's different, totally different, but effectively you're issuing dividends because you're taking value, which is revenue, and you're distributing it evenly to your token holders by doing this buyback and burn model. And I think about that and I'm like, there's a phase in your company's growth when that makes a lot of sense. That phase usually doesn't make sense when you're making 18 million a year as a potentially $1 billion company.
Yeah. So if we look at the helium model, though, the one thing I push back, and by the way, I 100% agree with you that there are other ways that you could do kind of the value accrual that would incentivize, because at the end of the day, it's basically trying to get people to not sell their tokens because they think they're going to be worth more in the future. Like in some networks, you've got forced selling because you've got to pay your operator, whatever you got to do. That's one thing. And so you're looking at it from how do we solve this problem in a different way that doesn't equate to buying and burning. The only caveat I would say for companies where they have to sell hardware to people that they buy is that there is, like, in a normal, if you're to look at T-Mobile, they've got all the CapEx that gets spent. And even if their revenue is just affording their operating costs between the CapEx and the OpEx, that is still getting covered to some degree, which in the deep-in world, the CapEx gets distributed against participants. So it's like, well, I think that there should still be some compensation for that, which in this world could be potentially buying some of the tokens back with the revenue that you're generating. Maybe not like the lion's share of it.
And you can make an argument that this is like an MPV thing, like realizing future revenues against current capex by node operators, right? You're basically saying, I'm going to pull forward the opportunity from the future into now, provided that we actually execute in the future.
Right.
That's always the hard part. Like, and I'm just picking on Helium because I know the telecom space really well. I think they've kind of been trailblazers in what they're doing, and initially I really loved what they're doing. But some of their buyback and burn that they've recently done, I've gone back and said, are we ready for that yet as a company? Are we potentially hindering the company's growth and our potential future buyback and burn opportunities? Because if we're at 18 million, 19 million a year, and we should be at $1 billion a year to be like top 10 MVNO, right? Shouldn't we be putting every ounce of revenue back into that? And I've been seeing Helium advertise on YouTuber channels all over the place. So I'm like, I know that they're reinvesting, but could that be faster? Could we get them to $1 billion in revenue first? And then we're taking much bigger checks when they do buybacks and burns.
The problem though is like, I mean, if the token price continues to bleed out and go into the dumps, how do you expand? You can't expand that fast. People are going to stop freaking deploying. Like they know their token price has to maintain or go up if they want to expand. So they've got the double-edged sword, right?
And your argument's incentives, right, Ken? Like that, just aligning the incentives so that the token holders hold the token onto the token long enough until we get to that point where we can do buyback and burns.
Yeah, well, and that's I think that's the risk though of like your rewards being your token. I think that's part of that risk. So Brad, I think you're hitting that nail on the head of like pretty much everybody rewards their node operators in their token.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're probably one of the few that don't. That like, no, we are going to subsidize operators with the token while we're growing our revenue. But at some point, we fully anticipate revenue to be compensating all of our node operators and turning this into a very sustainable model, which hopefully will also affect the token price and all this stuff. And so, and I'm just trying to make sense of the space because I see everybody else doing that. And that's one of the downsides of when you reward your operators and tokens. It's always a 3-month math, right? I remember last year when I was first looking at GeoNet and they were announcing their Wingbits combined device release. And I was sitting there thinking like, $1,500. I'll do that in a heartbeat because I'm going to make that back in 6 months with the growth of Geode tokens right now. Right. Yeah. I was like, I'll make that money right back. And now I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's closer to about like 3 years to make that money back. So your point's spot on. But I guess my question is, should that be the norm now that we've kind of seen how that plays out to a degree? Is there a better way to do it? Like, how do we navigate with these?
If you're using let's say you're using stable coins, though, it's kind of doing the same thing. You're taking revenue you could be using to reinvest in some way, shape, or form, whether it's investor revenue or revenue from your customers that you're deploying to participants, and it's not going to reinvesting in that sense, right? Versus tokens.
Yeah, well, I think I think of it as two channels. Like one of them is a cost of goods sold, and the other one is like a dividend issuance model. So like there are companies that are both issuing rewards for the operators doing their jobs, which is COGS. And then there's, and now we have revenue as a company and we're going to take part of our revenue and do buybacks and burns. So yes, I think what you're saying is they're basically increasing the rewards for all of their operators. Well, for their token holders, regardless of whether you're operators or not. So I think it's like we're taking a chunk of this and rewarding operators with our token, and then we're going to take our revenue and share that with our token holders, which includes operators. So
yeah, it's just it's tough though to like create buy pressure in the token. It's not just a complete bleed, like staking mechanisms like you guys have talked about, like that can help to offset the bleed and create buying that you have to have tokens to stake. But the question is like, does that do enough to move the needle to prevent a total bleed out? That's the question.
Yep.
You have to have enough growth to offset that, I think.
Yeah. And so like what Free Scully, by the way, we got like some like amazing comments right now going on in the chat. I know Will's been trying to push them a little bit. What Free Shkreli said, if I could pronounce anything tonight. He said Burns, aka buybacks, equivalent to. It also communicates that capital can't be better deployed within growing the business itself. Usually, a strategy for later stage companies that are more mature. I 100% agree with that. With the caveat being, if there's no market buy pressure for the token, which I think you're going to be able to get from the revenue piece, you have to then assume that you'll have enough people speculating on that will start to happen, where you get enough buy. But in the deepen space, because you've got almost a net seller environment, because people are getting tokens from participating in the network, the only solution to it is you get people that continue to believe that in some phase of the network's growth, that will start to materialize and they continue to buy. So there's an equilibrium. But if that equilibrium breaks down, then you've just got this price bleed out to zero. And so that's where I do think there's an argument to be made that you should take some of that revenue and buy it back. Like 6 months ago, I would have been like, this is a stupid thing to do, or maybe not stupid, but like there's other ways that you could use this capital. But having gone through and done some like fairly in-depth analysis on the supply demand, like the net seller relationship for deepen tokens, like it's not looking great.
Just show me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, show me a single chart in deepen that we've gone through a down period where you don't have the speculative buyers, where it hasn't bled out. Like, there's not one. GeoNet has been doing open market buys since the beginning, and they're down only 50%. They're down far less than everyone else. So I think they are an example, small sample size, that maybe it does work. We've seen a turnaround since Helium changed that. But again, to your point, like, is that going to hinder growth? And at what point does it make sense to make that change to where you're not destroying your project? I don't think we know yet.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, guys. I was just going to say, like, when there's like a baseline expense, people are buying hardware and running hardware and updating and upgrading hardware. They're looking at these token emissions as their income, right? So obviously there's going to be a sell pressure. Like, there's absolutely going to be sell pressure, and people who are operators aren't even going to. I mean, let's ask William. Like, when you get tokens in, you're going, okay, what are my expenses this month? How many tokens do I need to sell to meet my expenses? Whatever's left over, I'll hold as long as I can, but I at least have to pay my expenses, right?
Well, and that's exactly it, Ken, is like in a lot of these networks, there's forced sellers. And so as a result of that, you are going to have, and this is, by the way, full transparency. One of the reports that Nick and I are working on with a very large staking platform is exactly looking at these, like, what's an equivalent version of a deepen network in terms of things like revenue, maybe liquidity, market cap, and what is the net buy sell pressure between them. And like, that is the thing with deepen tokens right now, is that because there are the business model of, like, you go out and set up a Helium hotspot somewhere and you got to pay a portion of that to the host that you're actually deploying at, you're going to have to sell some of that to be able to cover those costs. And so as a result of that, you will have additional net sell pressure. And so, like, if you look at most of the top deepen projects, that the reason why that price is bled out so much is because there is a correlation between the amount of suppliers that are getting tokens and selling them versus the additional buy pressure compared to other similarly situated networks that are again, between revenue, liquidity, market cap, whatever you want to look at, they don't have. And so that's where this gets kind of interesting, is like, what's the solution to it?
And so, having run many businesses and having run an 8-figure business before in revenue, like, I knew what my expected expenses were for every single month. I knew exactly what my expenses were going to be. Every quarter we reviewed the financials, and I knew how much I needed to sell to meet those requirements. But that was because we had a relatively stable coin that we were denominating my expenses in, and a relatively stable coin I was collecting revenue in. And so I could predict, okay, at the end of this month, I got to pay these bills, and this is how I'm going to do it. I don't mind taking a short-term note out if I know that revenue's coming in the next month, right? Mm-hmm. So there's all types of that type of stuff where, you got commercial paper and stuff like that, where it helps you get through the cash flow side of things when you know that there are contracts on the other end. And so there are financial decisions you can make, strategic financial decisions you can make as a business owner, that make a lot of sense, because you throw it onto a spreadsheet or whatever Sage or whatever tools you're using, and you just figure out, okay, what do I need to generate and how do I generate that? In this case, I'm depending on a lot of people who don't work for me to host my services, and I'm hoping they're there when I need them to satisfy some job request. And there's the other side of that too, like what 375 AI is doing. They're collecting data, so they become more valuable the more people participate in the network, versus like Helium. If people aren't participating, the network breaks. Right. So you can go from like less valuable to more valuable in a data collection model, but you can also go from like valuable to doesn't even work if you don't have enough node operators, because you cannot calculate that, the COGS stuff, right? I got to make sure I meet those requirements. And so anyway, I'm just wondering how that all translates. And I'm looking at everybody else, right? Tashi, I've got my focus. I know what the plan is with Tashi, but I'm looking at all these other projects and going, how are they running a business? How do they not raise enough money to like cover them until they got to, critical mass?
Yeah. I mean, the positive for the most successful ones, and this is a common theme, is that they are once they're set up, they're very passive. So it's like, if you're making at a certain point, if you're making anything for doing nothing, you're just going to leave it plugged in. We saw that with Helium IoT. Now, when they went down, people weren't like quick to go fix them. Mm-hmm. But I think that like any project that requires on hands, like at all times, like it's not going to work, like that. So, I think Helium both and 375 AI, like 375 AI too. The other thing with them is like, once they set them up in these locations, the more historical data they have, the more valuable that data set is too.
Yeah.
Not only that, but like we don't even pass that work to the people, like all of it is very much a managed service approach. So it's very much like investing your capital, and then we use that to produce the node. The node then gets mounted on a billboard, and then the magic starts, right? Like just starts to collect data. And the longer it's, to Brad's point, the longer it's been there, the more historical data it has, the more you can also compare against like different parts of the city. Right. So like I also think about going into places like Chicago, Dallas, Seattle, and like then you have a bunch of data points that you can compare between like the city of Chicago versus the city of New York or whatever, right? So but all of that, even at a massive investment, is still very passive. Like there's no swipe the card and you are in business. That's it.
375 Street, though, is going to be a little hands-on. Though people have
that will be hands-on. That will be hands-on. But I think, interestingly enough, there are people that, I shouldn't even say it's obvious, but like there are people that take a lot of pride in their deployment business, and they want to get as much diversity of product. So maybe they have a bunch of experience with Helium, XNet, WeatherXM, whatever. And now they're trying to think about other places where they already have those same deployments that are probably also high traffic areas. Hey, why don't I just, we already got a good relationship going. Why don't I also install this other node that does XYZ thing, in our case, collect real world data and, keep this partnership going. Yeah. So yes, like that will be active, but even then it's like a set and forget kind of thing also.
Yeah, and Tashi is going to be set up that way too. I think that just like when it's passive, just removes that risk of people no longer participating. Like unless it goes offline, But as long as it's like the setup, once it's set up and it's consistently on, like it's if it's passive, you're golden, man. That's the key, really.
I think I need to figure out how to build like little USB thumb drives I can just send to everybody, and they can just plug it into their old D-pin devices that are no longer earning them anything. And they just go click, and now it becomes a Tashi device.
Yes.
That's what we need to do.
You figure that out, man. You are a millionaire overnight.
I've got a lot of those.
But I know Will's a little bit offline right now, but I was just going to read out these comments from Free Shkreli. God, I cannot say this tonight to save my life, which he said, and I think this really substantiates what we're talking about, which is unfortunately I have to sell most, if not all, of my largest mine token, HNT, number one, the last few years since I have to pay host, recoup hardware. The rest is gambling since I have a ton of money in the project already with the hardware alone. That's, I think that's a reality for Ken's project, not as much of a factor because you don't have to buy additional hardware for it. But for hardware projects specifically, that is a consideration.
Yeah. Well, I think of like GeoNet, right? So the difference between like 375 AI and GeoNet. The 375 AI has their AI devices for billboards, right, all throughout Sacramento. The more they have, the more valuable they are. But if they had none in Sacramento, it's like, they're still going after Chicago. They're still going to generate revenue somewhere else. But like with GeoNet, I'm in Sacramento Valley where like agriculture is massive. And if somebody's GeoNet RTK device goes down, suddenly you have a bunch of like robo combines that can't operate at the same ability there. So there's like a quality of service. There's like an SLA level problem. So you do have to build in redundancy, which they are, but you also have to incentivize redundancy, and you have to do it in a way where like, okay, cool, I got 2 devices in this quadrant or in this hex. And if both of them are just like, yeah, it's not worth it to run this anymore, I'm tired of like climbing up that pole every time we have a windstorm. It's like, okay, cool, I'm just going to like take it down and be done with it. And you lose both of them at the same time. It's like, well, there goes all the robo combines in the Sacramento Valley. It's tough when you have that SLA
that was coming along with it.
Yeah.
As I called it out in the deep and discount rate, is the supply sensitivity to TAM, which is like if you've got things that are exactly as you explained, then all of a sudden you cannot generate revenue. So,
yeah, I love your breakdown, your analysis, all the factors that you look at, because some of those, like even the one where you were talking about, I can't remember what you call it, but something about like different markets grow the net value greater than the sum of the markets.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of like network effects, but from a market perspective. What did you call that? That was one of the factors of.
What did I call it, Ken? It's been a while.
I don't remember. Putting you on the spot.
It was like I've written so much shit at this point.
and the fact that you take in consideration like the early emissions, because a lot of times the emissions are front loaded, man. So like I think that's smart too.
Yeah.
I think your model is more thought out than anyone else in the world, and deep in models for sure.
It makes it hard to like use existing staking contract platforms, because everybody's like, oh, everybody else does it this way, and I'm like, yeah, but that's not sustainable. And then it's like, well, I guess we can't use you anymore. So we're writing all of our own smart contracts. We're doing all of our own stuff because of that. It's good.
It was the exact thing was it was a sub factor of the supply sensitivity as a marginal propensity to increase TAM. So basically,
that's the one I love. I love the name of that one.
I loved it too when I wrote it, Ken. I'm glad you liked it. So. but yeah, I was specifically looking at like, is there a if you're like a company that's got I think the example I used in the article was WeatherXM. So if you're if you have 3 nodes that are all in Austin, for example, not very valuable. It's kind of valuable, but less so. But if you have one that's in, Austin and Chicago, and you've got a shipping or a freight that's going to happen via flight between those cities, all of a sudden that may become more valuable because all of a sudden you can actually use the data for both places by having those 2 nodes. And so that was the relationship where the locational relevance to the ability to generate revenue is impacted by the type of project that it is.
Guys, I don't want to switch up the combo, but I do want to answer this question from Trivia, who asked, what benefit do these reward tokens have to deployers besides being able to swap the fiat? Do tokens give ownership in the projects? I don't know if anyone wants to answer. I can give my high-level answer right now, but
go ahead.
Yeah. So what benefit is? Yeah, it's an interesting observation, Trivia, that yes, a lot of this is like they're selling their tokens in order to cover operational costs. Like that's very much the reward mechanism that's in place, and that's what incentivizes people to even go out and provide the service, because it's not necessarily easy. And I can tell you from the gentleman below right here, there's a ton of these hotspot deployments that it is a lot of labor, a lot of work to facilitate those deals, explain how things work to people, etc. So yeah, there's a lot of operational costs that do need to be covered. Do they give you ownership in the project? No, by no means do tokens represent ownership of a project. and nor should they. I don't think they should just be. I don't know what they should just be, but like my take is that it is very much an exchange of value of sorts. It's like, hey, thank you for going on and taking on all this labor for standing up this service or standing up this hardware that provides this service. This is your reward, right? It's a great way to align people and get them to all be in the same boat, let's say.
Well, that's
Also,
a conundrum too, Quez, because you have deployers out there that, I mean, in a sense, like we all exist in a fiat-based world, right? Like we have to cover expenses in fiat. We use fiat as a short-term transfer of value, and so you're paid out in this token, which yes, you're incentivized to hold for the promise of future value accrual, but you have immediate expenses now that you need to pay, and immediate things that you have right now that you need to pay. So it's kind of like a battle, if you will. Like you have kind of two opposing forces there, and that's what makes tokens unique too. Is that like you said, there is no ownership, like you would have with stocks, right? With equities, you have ownership in a business, whereas tokens, that's not necessarily the case. You have voting power on certain decisions.
Are you telling me your gas station doesn't take geode?
Some of my hosts take geode and H&T.
My barber does. My barber takes whatever I give. He's just super into crypto. He's a good barber too. It's like $50 a haircut, and I'm like, here, dude.
so sick.
He's like, I'll take 0.5 geode instead. Actually,
Nice.
It's like that meme when you go to Thanksgiving, everyone, it's like, how are your little tokens doing? You like go back to get your haircut the next time. You're like, don't fuck up my hair. I know the market's down, bro.
Yeah, I need this shit to last, bro.
He loves it when it's down because then he gets to bag it all, man. He gets way more tokens when the market's down.
That's true.
Yo, real quick, I just want to give a shout out to my man Movic. What's up, dog? Good to see you. It's like 3 a.m. where you are. It's insane that you're even here. Yeah, it's my man. Yo, guys, I'm grabbing another round. BRB.
And Trivia just said, if tokens don't give ownership, why would the cash flow of the project affect the token price? I'm gonna throw that at you guys.
Tyler, take it on.
I mean, it depends on the model. There's a couple different ones rolling around. A lot of projects use what's called a buyback and burn. So they take revenue and they buy the token. So like if you've got people that are selling, then you've got buy pressure that'll theoretically increase the price. And then the other thought is that when you're decreasing the net supply, that the token value should go up over time because it becomes a deflationary asset. So there's that. There's a few other ways that projects go about doing it, but at a high level, that's really kind of where the value relationship comes into play between the revenue and how that theoretically should impact the token. But again, the thing that makes all this kind of nuanced is, like, as to Ken's earlier point, it depends on the approach that these companies take. So there's burn and mint, there's the buyback burn, there's other ways that, and I think Ken's looking at for Tashi, which does it differently. And so that's where this conversation becomes kind of difficult / interesting, because tokens, while they are not equity in the sense of like I have voting rights within a company, in a lot of respects when it comes to DAOs, that is kind of true. But the thing that's more of a relevancy, I think, when it comes to the relationship between tokens and these networks is that they do serve multiple functions, which is that in some respects they are supposed to be price appreciating like a equity asset would be, but they are also used for medium of exchange, voting within a governance process. And so it's the old, like, to not sound too juvenile about it, it's the whole token go up thing over time, but it should be within the context of why that's happening, which is either token accrual value comes in revenue that's adding buy pressure to liquidity, decreasing the net supply, so on and so forth. If that answers the question.
That answers it pretty well.
Yep. I like it. All right, guys, I got to jump for a little bit. If you guys are still here when I'm done with my call, I'll be back.
Ken, always a pleasure.
Ken.
See you guys.
Man.
Always a pleasure,
Sure,
Ken.
man.
Thank you.
I made a list recently. Some people are getting pretty excited about it. I'm even getting follow backs because of this list that I made.
Check it twice.
And I did not check it twice because there's more people that I need to add to it. But my list now is called non-retarded deep in people. And the reason that I made this list is because
I hope I made the cut.
Yeah, you did make the cut.
Like,
Very slim margins, Will. Very slim margins. But you did make it through.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see that list.
Yeah, the reason I made this list is because Will and I talked about this past weekend. Is I think a really big frustration that I have in the space is a lot of people talk like they know what this thing's about. And I mean, not to say that you need to be like some crazy ass expert or whatever, but I find that so many folks pump themselves up as like experts in crypto or experts in DePIN and tokenomics or whatever because they've read a white paper or two, and therefore assign themselves all this like knowledge or notoriety, I guess, and therefore can like give a bunch of insights or game or whatever. And so I realized like, okay, I don't need the people that I've been like kind of scrolling through on Twitter. Let me just make my own list of folks that every time I listen to, I'm reminded how little that I know. And that's what that list is, my non-retarded DePIN.
Nice. Well,
Send that list to me, Quez. Can you send that list to me? I would love that.
Yeah, it's open. It's actually available for anyone to follow. It's on Twitter.
Better add them real quick before you send it. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Thanks, Brad. You're so awesome, dude. No, I have to say that I kind of I definitely share the sentiment, Quez. I scroll through the timeline sometimes, and I just see kind of the same old faces saying the same old things without any real critical thinking added onto it or any like new ideas being generated, and people applying old models to this new market. And it's kind of just, I don't know, it's getting old. I just like scroll right past it and go like, this is just a bunch of BS. Like we need to move forward. I feel like there's some people still stuck in the past or stuck in like this state of mind of, oh, like the cycle, the 4-year cycle, or these old terms, man. And I just think that we're in a completely new world, a completely new reality now.
Couldn't agree more.
But wait till DePIN really pops off. You're gonna see a lot of people claim to be DePIN experts. We haven't even hit that. We hit it a little bit in March of like 2024, but guys, it'll happen for sure.
You're saying in March of 2024?
I 100% agree. I'm waiting.
It did.
I call it the fucking what's it called? Oh my god, the e-commerce moment. The e-commerce moment when we have people going like, oh, you can start a whole business online like this. Like that's when we hit that moment, we know we've reached it.
Yeah. No, March of 2024 was like the I'd say the mini DePIN bull market we had for a brief stint there.
Yes, if you came in and you're shilling on the timeline based on your entry point between like March and June of 2024, be skeptical.
Mm-hmm. Word. Yeah, so good for me then, because I came way after all of that.
Well, you also work for a DePIN, so you're good. You're automatically in, yeah.
You know what's funny?
Yeah, he's not biased at all, guys. Not biased at all.
Well, I mean, I try to keep my comments reserved, at least as like grounded as possible. But I will say, like, I feel like my bringing in to a DePIN project is hopefully a good example to anybody that like there's a lot of ways that you can provide value to a company, not even just one that focuses on DePIN, even if you may not be an expert in that particular industry. So I had a lot of experience managing communities before, and then just also having a lot of super underrated thing, but like on-chain experience. There's like I have evidence to support that I've been chronically on-chain, not online, on-chain for the last 4 or 5 years. And I think that actually helped me quite a lot going through my interview process because they could literally see what it is that I participated in. And yes, all the degenerate meme coin plays that inevitably went to zero, but still, right? Just to say that, you could still get a break into any space. Just, be modest is all I'm saying. Like, I work for this company right here. I work for this company, and I'm willing to tell you right now that these motherfuckers probably know more about it than I do. And I work there.
Well, you chose the top tier DePIN. I need to clarify for people that join like certain DePINs. I think you'd actually lose credibility for joining certain DePINs as an employee. But you're part of a top tier one, so you're good.
I mean, hey, I just wanted to announce. I wanted to announce during this space. Now that Brad mentioned it, I did join Eden. I am actually I'm head of product at Eden. I'm the beta tester, the master beta tester. And I'm really excited to share all of what I learned through all these products.
Is that why you're having a
my
hard time
God.
sitting down? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, right now I'm having a really hard time sitting down because of it. There's actually a new product coming out. Don't want to spoil anything, but it's a real pain in the ass. Let's just say that.
You're on the top of the leaderboards. Let's go.
Oh man.
Don't sell that airdrop, bro.
No, please don't. Yo, Skelly, I'm trying to find you on Twitter, man. I can't. I'm looking at your Discord profile and I don't see a link there, but I know I follow you on Twitter and I just can't find it. Send me your Twitter profile, G. I miss it. Yeah, no, but what's it called? I guess we're past our hour here, and I don't know if you guys had any other like juicy topics that you wanted to dive into, but kind of like how we started the space or our happy hour here. Sentiment is a little low, but fundamentals have never looked any better than how they do right now. People are still out there, specifically these projects, going out there, winning deals, providing a service to folks. Is there anything maybe you're worried about in the next 2 or 3 months, or perhaps things that you're very excited about in the next 2 or 3 months? Maybe, I guess both of those. What's something you're worried about, and then also something you're excited about in the next 2 or 3 months?
I think the fact that they're not going to release the unemployment numbers is something that should be of concern that can trickle down to DPIN.
Yeah, so weird. I mean, it's going to make it hard for the Fed to lower rates. Here's what I think is going to happen though with that. Like I talked about in the live stream earlier, but I think the job numbers look probably fucking atrocious, and they don't want to scare markets. They know the FOMC meeting is not till December 12th, I think it is, or December 10th, December 12th. So I think they're going to wait until they get closer to release the data, so that we don't have a month of freaking panic. But that'll then allow them to force Jerome Powell's hand and the Fed to lower rates, but they're going to hold off as long as they can, I think.
William?
Yeah, I guess I'm scared and excited simultaneously for markets to really come down further. I've been anticipating a crash. I've been preparing for a crash. I think it's almost inevitable at this point. I mean, maybe not a flash crash necessarily, but a lot more price drop in the market, especially with Bitcoin. But I feel like that's going to be a really great opportunity for a lot of people, like a lot of us that are kind of ready for it, sitting on the sidelines, and are really bullish on a handful of projects that we know will really come through and deliver on their promises. So I'm scared for that, but I'm also, I'm scared about the turmoil, but I'm also really excited that there's a chance to get in on this opportunity. The opportunity hasn't left yet. The boat hasn't left yet. The boat has not left the harbor. And I feel like that's coming. And to Brad's point, I do think the jobs numbers are horrific. The macroeconomics don't look good. You can just look around. I mean, people are suffering, and people are broke as shit. And I just feel like that's going to translate into a QE shift, a fast QE shift from the Fed, which will just release the floodgates of liquidity and capital into the markets, and that's when you see probably one of the biggest face melting rallies that we've ever seen in our lives.
Yeah, I think at the latest it'll be second half of next year. Powell's out in May, and the other thing we have to realize is the midterms are next fall. And here's the deal: if Trump knows this, if they lose the midterms, they're going to try to impeach him every step of the way. And they're also going to fight everything that they're trying to get done. So I think this administration knows they need to have the market rally hard going into the midterms. So I would expect in May, I expect they'll do damage control leading up to it and QE will start. But I would expect in May, they're going to put a Fed chair in there that's going to turn on QE and have extensive rate cuts leading into that.
For my fellow audience members, which Suburban Crypt, I'm super down to answer this also, but just before we get there, what does QE mean?
Money printer go burr.
Okay,
Quantitative easing.
got it.
Yeah, quantitative easing. Yeah, basically making money more freely available, and like basically increasing the amount of liquidity in the system.
Something they started back in good old 2008 after the recession.
Nice. So you're
Yeah.
telling me that we can just make infinite amount of money? What? That's interesting.
Pretty crazy.
Suburban asked a great question here. Do you think people can hold on until May? That's an interesting question. What do you guys think?
What's the context? Hold on, in what sense?
My assumption is hold on to their current holdings, or at least like that's layer one. I would say is like, can they hold on to their current assets, and then if it's not that, then can they survive in this? You know, given all the macroeconomic factors, do you think people can survive between now and
I think
May?
that's the point, is they won't be able to. Like, there's a lot of people that are over leveraged in the system, and we saw that with that flash crash we had back in October, where people's positions were just liquidated. There's a lot of leverage in the system, and there's going to be a lot of people that fall off on this. But like the people that have been preparing, the people that have been building their cash positions, or that maybe are just kind of holding and chilling and have other side income coming in, they'll be fine.
Shkreli also added here, people are primed to jump on cheap to 0% debt, knowing that it'll get inflated away. I think that's
Negative interest rates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like my whole thesis on taking debt as it is. It's like it just keeps getting inflated away over a long enough period of time anyways. So like, what is debt?
For sure. I think, but also I think we'll have a bounce before that, guys. Like we're fear and greed index is at 15. Like any time in history you've seen the fear index get that low, I think the longest we've seen it is like 2 months. And we're already at a month of extreme fear. So we'll have a bounce. It's just a question of how big and how long will it last. But I don't know. But I think we will have a crazy freaking rally when they turn on the money printers. I think they'll end up sending out stimulus checks.
$2,000 stimmies. You know what I'm buying? More of these right here. Fuck the assets. More Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yo, Suburban's talking about, I'm glad I took profits last December. Take profits?
Suburban cashed out a lot in December.
No, but what does that mean to take profit? I've never.
Yeah, it's just you novel idea that you sell your assets, you sell your tokens into fiat, and then you use that fiat for like watches, sports cars, maybe your bills. I don't know. It's a weird concept, Quest. I don't really understand.
I can't even relate.
I did buy sports cars and watches, and my watch collection is worth more than a lot of crypto that I held on to. So,
boom.
Can't relate.
Yeah.
Crying. Jeez. Guys, what do we think? I mean, you want to wrap up here? Do you have any last thoughts or even just burning topics that you do want to dive into? I don't want to close it early if you guys.
How about this? I think this is a good one. Let's start with Will. What right now through the end of the year? What is your strategy? Deployment strategy, holding strategy? What projects are you looking at? Like, what is your plan within your crypto portfolio?
My plan at the moment is anytime we have a massive dip like we've seen today, I instantly buy more. I instantly dollar cost average more. If we have a gain of over, typically if there's like a gain of over like 5% in a single day, I don't dollar cost average. I just kind of chill on my holdings. I like to average down if possible. But that being said, if we have continuous uptrends, if there's like a gain of 5% plus per day for over the course of like 3 or 4 days, I typically add a little bit just in case like we're getting a trend change. So I'm going to keep dollar cost averaging essentially, consolidating into several positions like we've talked about before. Namely, I have my Alki position, my EAT position, and Bitcoin too. But then I have several others, like I have Geode, of course. I have H&T that's building up slowly but surely. But I don't necessarily DCA into those. I just let my deployment business gather those, and then I hold on to a little bit of that token. So if prices are down on H&T and Geode, typically what I'll do is I'll stack a little bit more so I'll just hold on to a little bit more. But if prices are up, I'll typically sell a bit more there and recoup some more fiat to then dump back into my business. So on the business portfolio, I'm still allocating H&T and Geode over time, and then eventually Wing Bits as well. But on the personal portfolio, it's just dollar cost averaging into things like Alki, 375 AI, and then Bitcoin, especially on those red days. But just kind of holding on to my current positions too. Not really. I've gathered up a large cash position through other means, like other income I've had in the past, and I've let that sit in a high interest account. And then what I'll do with that cash is I rotate it and add it. I add onto that cash pile by trading options. So I'll do like S&P 500 trades or NASDAQ trades with like, put credit spreads, call credit spreads. And then I take the profits from those trades and I dump it into those DCAs I just mentioned. So that's pretty much been my strategy: maintain a healthy, sizable cash position, dump more cash into the market on those down days, and then just keep holding on.
Right on. Quez, what are you doing over there?
My strategy is pretty simple. I'm going to keep clocking into the fiat mines work. And then I'm going to use that fiat and deploy it into assets that I believe in. My holdings are very basic. I hold all three majors, my largest position being in Bitcoin, then ETH, then Solana. And they're all like relatively close to each other. Bitcoin just happens to be the largest. And then as for my deep in plays, I'm very obviously, and again, this should not be construed as financial advice in any way, shape, or form, nor do my views represent that of the companies, but I am very heavily invested in ETH. I just feel very bullish about what we're doing. Again, biased because I work there, but just feels like one of the biggest addressable markets that DeepIn has the opportunity to penetrate. And the fact that I can have some upside just by buying it at 3 cents, 5 cents, 7 cents, feels pretty simple to me. Alki is my other largest position. I do have some very small positions in like things like Helium and GeoNet. In some sense, it's like kind of support. I don't know if that's the right way to frame it. It's not that I don't have conviction in these projects, but what I've learned in my time, and mind you, not a trader by any means, like all the stuff that we'll discuss about DCA and all this shit, that's not how I play. Like I usually would go on payday. I don't care whether the chart is red or green or whatever. I just buy and then I forget about it. And that's just kind of how I've bought my crypto for the last 6-7 years. Haven't really thought about it twice, and it's treated me pretty well so far.
That is DCA. I mean, if it's on your paycheck, that is
That's a DCA. That's a DCA. I have a question for you, Quez. I guess so. So you're actively still allocating to Ethereum and Solana?
I will. I haven't in the last 2 months, but I just saw today that Ethereum is like touching 3,300, which feels like a very, very juicy entry point for me. So on my next paycheck, I will be getting in there. That being said, what I would normally allocate to Bitcoin, and this is like the one caveat, but I don't know, maybe I'm being influenced, and we haven't even talked about it at all on this show, but Zcash, I have absolutely no exposure whatsoever to Zcash. I've missed the pump like nobody's business. But you know what? I saw a really awesome tweet, and again, not to say that tweets are my final thesis builder or whatever, but shout out to Mert. He was like, buying Zcash at $437 is like buying Bitcoin at $437. And I was like, great. So yeah, that's I am going to get some exposure to Zcash. If we see some kind of a dip, I'll probably be pretty aggressive there, but that's like probably the only other thing I'm looking at. But generally, the majors, Alki, a little bit of Helium, a little bit of GeoNet, and then my latest position will be in Zcash. Oh, and God forbid that we ever forget about who actually runs shit around here. ever will bro, we have suffered like 50, 60% drawdown. Ask me if I feel it. Ask me if I feel the drawdowns. The answer is no. I'm still mog. I'm still mogging. I will never stop mogging. Continue mogging forever and you will win.
That's
it. That's
funny,
me.
man.
That's really interesting, and I love the mod, man. I will say the reason I asked is because I feel like a lot of the major alts really move in lockstep with Bitcoin. Like obviously move in multiples. So like if Bitcoin moves 2%, Solana might move 4 or 5. And for that reason, I've like since transitioned a lot of my portfolio out of the major alts, and I have basically gone like one end of the spectrum is Bitcoin. So that's why, like, because Bitcoin obviously, it moves multiples of percents a day, and it's a fairly, it's a very highly liquid, a large market cap asset, of course, and is the crypto asset, right? But on the other end of the spectrum, you have like our deep in tokens, the other altcoins down there that don't necessarily move in lockstep with Bitcoin and have some variation, but also have a lot more upside. And so, me personally, I transitioned out of those major alts because I felt that my capital could be used better on more deep in allocation or more altcoin allocation that's like down the rung on the other side, on the other end of the spectrum, outside of like the stuff that moves along with Bitcoin. But that's just my take on it.
Which is a great strat. Which is a little different than how I look at my majors. My majors for me are like my savings. That's like that's value I want to keep around for as long as possible. I like I treat it like gold, and I just keep it over there. I don't touch it, and very happy to continue doing that. So, but I hear you on that. I hear you on like using your capital more efficiently. Again, ladies and gentlemen, like for all of you listening, there are certainly much better ways to make use of your capital than what I do. I am not a trader. I like to just buy, set, forget, call it a day.
That's a good way to go, brother.
I think like I've paid the price on so many different times where I'm like, oh, this has gone up. I can sell and get more, and then I can rotate it back in. And like being able to try to time the market in that respect is really difficult. And so if you've got things that you're looking at, like a Bitcoin play that you're is Cisco Cat Joe? Oh, we gotta get Joe on here. Let's get Joe on here for the shit talk.
Shit, here we go again.
But like if you think, hey, this is a long-term play, Bitcoin's going to go to 100 to 1 million in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Like, yeah, you can have little wins along the way that maybe will allow you to keep buying more, but so much of that's going to be out of your control. And more, I don't want to say more often than not, it can just as much go the other way, where now you're like, oh shit, I took my profits, rotated it somewhere, and like I've had that happen maybe more than just those times where I haven't, where they've just been long-term plays. And so I feel like it's like I'm maturing in the space. I'm looking at like, all right, don't take the profit on the little pump. Try to play the game. Just freaking ignore it. And I started that way. Like some of my first buys in 2016, 17, I let that shit ride through the peak of the 2018 market, or 2018, 19, 2021. Watch it crash every single time. I'm like, I just keep holding and just let it do its thing. And then I'm like, you can trade this and make more money, and it'd be way more lucrative because you see other people trading and making money, and you're like, oh, this could be a thing. But
you know what they say, time in the market is much better than timing.
Buffett mode, baby. Buffett mode.
That's it.
Valid.
Yo, but I'm curious to hear from Tyler and Brad. Like, what are your guys' strategies? I could probably learn something here. Something, what's up? I got my notes.
Brad's
the call. Same.
Brad, go ahead.
Well, I think like Quez, I think you have a good strategy, man. Like I think long-term Bitcoin, right? Stack it. And I think DCA is the best way to do it, because then you don't really, because it's going to go down, it's going to go up, it's going to be volatile. I think it'll be less volatile than it has been in the past, but it's still going to be volatile. But I think that is the long-term play. Right now, man, I've got stables, I've got positions. I'm just kind of waiting. This is the time. If you're really, in my opinion, if you're looking at small caps, extreme fear in the market is when to plant some seeds, but be very selective, guys. Have to be very, very selective. We're going to see if this extends out further. We're going to see a lot of projects go under. And we've seen this in the past, right? and pay attention to the projects that disappear when we're in these times. And but the other thing I'll say is the thing I've learned more than anything in the time being in this space is like get your bag set during these times. And when we have extreme greed in the markets, to Tyler's point, like when you're taking profits, pull it into a separate wallet, put your stables there, and don't fucking touch them until we're in extreme fear again. The game of trying to rotate to the next play and time it right, good luck, man. And if there's one thing we've learned this year under Trump for the next 3 years, we're going to have a lot of volatility that you'll be able to play. So, bro, take those profits and put them in a separate wallet and sit there and wait. For real, though. Like they say the best traders, best investors are able to do nothing for long periods of time. That's true. That's the hardest thing, the hardest damn thing to do. When the market's euphoric, it is so hard, man. When you're like, look, and you see how much money's there, you're like, oh man, I can just rotate that over here and get another 5x easy. But just as quickly as it's up, it can come back down.
But you have to learn that lesson. You really do.
You have
to experience it. You can't even hear. You have to go through
Brad,
it. Brad,
you posted something that I hadn't heard. This may be like a commonly used phrase, but I thought it was really good. And I like looking back on my bigger wins within the space. I'm like, oh my God, this is 100% accurate, which is that by the time you're ready to take a screenshot of your wallet because it's done something is probably a good time to consider selling.
Yep.
And like I remember in the early mobile days when there was like $10,000 of trading volume a day, and then December hit, and you're like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. But then the greed sets in. You're like, "Oh man, all I need is like another 10x from here." It's like think about that could be. And it's so true. So the fear and greed index to me is super super important. One thing I also want to share, and I'm going to pull this up, and I think everyone should read this. I don't know who can allow me to share this screen here.
Will's distracted.
Will's at the bar right now. I don't know, man. I'm just going to order another drink. I'm just here on a live stream. I'm about to order another drink.
Look at this guy. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
so anyway, it's Jordy Visser. He's waving at us. Let me share my.
He's got his.
I'm taking a hotspot right now. Hang on.
Yeah, let me share my screen, bro.
No, he said he's trying to win a hotspot right now.
Yeah, he's trying to.
That man's doing business.
Anyway,
happy hour.
Anyway, Will, let me share my screen. Let's see if he allows me to. Aha! Hey. All right, everyone should read this. And it's Jordy Visser put out this Bitcoin silent IPO. And there's been people that have been kind of talking about this, but this is very well worth the read. It's talking basically about how the price action we've seen this year, where it's just been kind of chopping, we've seen a ton of OG Bitcoin owners sell their bags. And that's the reason why we haven't seen the price go up exponentially. And the reason is, this is the first time they've been able to actually sell their bag without destroying Bitcoin, that the liquidity is finally there. So he calls it their silent IPO. And he's like, this same thing has happened with Amazon, with, other large cap companies where the early investors couldn't sell their bags early on, had to hold until the liquidity and the company was mature enough to do so. And he goes through, it's a fantastic read, guys. And it explains a lot of what we've seen this year. And how also he talks about how like the volatility is going to decrease over time. But that is why this year has been a big changing of hands, a consolidation period where we've seen the OGs unload billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And it's getting more decentralized ownership, and how it's actually really healthy for Bitcoin. And why this isn't a bear market, etc. So I would encourage everyone to read this again. It's Jordy Visser. If you just do a Google search and look up Bitcoin silent IPO, and I think it does a really good job of explaining kind of what we've experienced this year. And I think once this period ends of this silent IPO, if you will, like the distribution of the OGs to new holders, I think we will see things go fucking parabolic, man, because the buying pressure's been there. Everyone's like, well, all this buying, but why isn't the price going up? It's because of this. Like we've seen in the last month alone, I think it's been 400,000 Bitcoin was sold from OGs over the last like 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't got a chance to read this, but it does substantiate a few other data points that I've seen related to the price, which is there is a correlation between the average amount that people are up and the like when you start seeing net sell pressure come in. And so if that, I mean, this is going to sound a little like Ponzi-nomics, but if that number continues to increase between like the delta for whatever your call it a 2.5, I think was maybe the average up value on Bitcoin for kind of the top signal, is that if that continues to redenominate to a higher average value, then the long-term effect is continued price appreciation. So, but I'm going to definitely take a read through that and see what they got to say.
Check it out. I mean, some of these people, everyone's like, why are they selling? It's like some of these people invested like 20 grand and have 1.5, $2 billion. They're like, I'm going to go live my fucking life. Like I can do whatever I want. And they've been wanting to sell. But, if you move, there's a period of time where, I'm sure a lot of the OGs know each other. Like if we move tokens from an OG wallet, like it's going to scare everybody. If we start selling, it's going to scare everyone. So they've just been sitting on it, and they finally have the ability with enough liquidity, with enough buyers to be able to get out of their positions and like live whatever life they want, man. Like, I don't know, but it's, but highly recommend the read, man. And I think it does a pretty good job. I think it's a good thesis for sure.
Love it. Oh yeah.
Can you share that in the chat, Brad?
Yeah. The show.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a read after our.
Yeah, that pitch just went really good, guys. I just pitched a Helium hotspot, and they were super down. So I'm gonna have a meeting with them. I just did that during the happy hour. Let's go.
If there's anyone who could be the protagonist for what this Deep in Happy Hour is all about, winning deals, closing, getting more hotspots deployed, using tokenomics to your favor to put yourself in a better position tomorrow than today, it's gotta be William Ross. Come on,
ABC.
Man.
Always be closing, man.
Always be closing. Yo, what was I listening to you talk? I think it was today. No, today or Tuesday.
In the space.
Yeah, you're talking about like, yeah, I'm a salesman, bro. I got that sales experience. Brad, I'll tell you, there's gonna come a day where we will open a sales department, and I really want to work. I used to work in sales myself. I was a tech seller for IBM, and I had a lot of success there. And I feel like I would have a ball selling this product.
Hell yeah. You got no competition.
That's one, number one. And then number two, it's like this never before seen product that like just crazy. And then once I could just point to a bunch of evidence and like, oh, here's what we're doing for your competitor, Burger King, whatever, here's what we're doing at McDonald's. If you're interested in doing something of the sort. I don't know.
Quez, the problem is you're just so damn good at your current job that how are they going to fill those shoes, man?
Well, I'm actually training my my mentee right now such that he could replace me. It's either that I get promoted to like a senior community manager, I guess, or again, what I would really, really like is to be in sales. So
I'm not gonna lie, Quez, I would buy from you regardless of what you're selling. So if that's any
true that.
Quez is like, hey, I got this mango mezcal margarita I can make you. I'm like, all right,
let's talk over a drink.
Company.
You tell your trainee, like, hey kid, you stick with me, you'll make my not retarded list someday, man.
You stick with me, you're gonna make the retarded list, right? Oh man, you guys.
When you end up on your own retarded list.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be like probably the leader of the list, that's for sure. Oh man, gentlemen, any closing? Or wait, did we get Tyler's?
We didn't get Tyler's.
We didn't get Tyler's, right? Yeah. No. Tyler,
didn't I get the negative, or what am I doing?
Like, what do you?
His investment strategy is just selling everything all the time. Be pessimistic as possible. That's Tyler's.
Basically, like, what are you holding?
The exact opposite. As a top holder of EAT, I can confirm that is not.
That is. He is one of the top holders of EAT.
Give him a
So
little flex,
try
bro.
that again.
We're both
Wait,
in the top 50.
you're one of the top holders of ETH?
We're both in top 50. I think he
ETH.
might even be in the top. Tyler might be top 25. I don't know.
Okay,
I
Mr.
have-
Moneybags. I didn't know. Damn.
I have
All right.
one. Well, I'm not going to dox myself, but yeah, not ETH. No, if I was a top holder of ETH, I would probably be on an island, and I wouldn't know any of you guys. But
Nice.
I'm not a top holder of ETH.
That's fucked up, bro. That's fucked up.
That's so real. I get it. Nice. That's the life right there, brother. Yo, but like anything else that you're holding that you want to share with folks?
I mean, you guys shared most of the deep in. I'm the same way. Like top coin, I am not holding ETH. I sold out of my long-term ETH position earlier this year, and it's a point of contention for Quez. That's okay. I
only like you a little bit.
I'm holding Sol still and Bitcoin. I am a Zcash holder. As a matter of fact, I've been a long-term Zcasher, and I do have a funny story. So one of the restaurants that I deployed a Helium and an XN in about a year ago, his dad owns the restaurant bar. He was trying to get into crypto. So like I would come, I'd get food. He'd give it to me. And he's like, I just want to ask you random questions about crypto. And so he was on his way to being a whole coiner. He actually had done a fairly good job in a very short amount of time at accumulating Bitcoin. And I think like October of last year, I said, you really should start considering Zcash. It's like, what's the thing for Zcash? And funny enough, I got a text from him a couple days, like a week ago when Zcash started running. I haven't talked to him in months. And he said, dude, I should have totally listened to you when you said Zcash. And so it was one of those moments where, it's been a thing. My dad, ironically, is still underwater from his Zcash buys in 2016 because it was quite a bit higher than what the price is now. That's neither here nor there. But I am a long-term Zcash holder. I would love to have Shkreli on at some point. He is a Monero maxi, so we're gonna have to. Well, I don't know if he's a maxi, but he said XMR is the king of Anon crypto, which to me says Monero maxi. We're gonna have to duke it out a little bit on that conversation.
It's the only crypto that isn't being sold on like major exchanges, and probably for, I don't want to say for good reason, but
for good reason, Quez.
It makes you
wonder.
Be like,
fuck you guys, I'm never coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes you wonder like how private truly is Zcash. And again, like I'm very ignorant, so I don't even want to touch the subject because I don't know anything, but I've known about Monero for a long time, and Shkreli has been a very vocal participant in our Discord, letting all the folks know that, what the fuck is Zcash compared to Monero? So.
I think Shkreli's got incredible takes. This just might be one of those where I think he might be wrong.
Yo, he's got to come on the show.
All right, we got to get him on next week. We need the fireworks, baby. Let's go.
Yeah,
we'll do like a deep in privacy segment.
Let's do it.
We'll just moderate, guys. We'll have them debate.
Yeah, we'll watch. We'll watch the fireworks. It'd be amazing.
But
gentlemen, go ahead, sir.
Well, I don't know if I really answered your question, and then it's consolidating around some of the other ones that you guys had already mentioned that I think do have prospects of significant success, and EAT is up there at the top of the list right now. So
let's go.
Nice. Sorry, Tyler, I didn't mean to cut you off early.
Moved up to 5.
You can do whatever you want, man. With that aura farming that you're doing,
this
is all coming. Yeah. I'm like trying to protect my aura. I want you to steal it, bro.
Oh man, I'm a couple minutes delayed. That's all right. Well, guys, any closing takes for our folks back home that are listening to the Deep in Happy Hour?
Hang in there, hone in. When the fear is in the markets like this, guys, I think this is time to hunt the gems, bro. For real. And DCA though, don't try to, catch falling swords.
Just keep buying.
Yeah, DCA in your conviction plays, but make sure they're real conviction plays, man. Like,
right.
And do your research, do your own research, and have a reason for your conviction. Like, it shouldn't be that you saw somebody fucking bull posted on X.
Not like me.
Get out of here, man.
We are definitely in the point of the cycle now where you can't just put money into random stuff and expect like a huge profit. And so it does take a fair amount of thorough analysis to be able to help develop your investment thesis around these things. And so that is the critical underscoring of what Brad just said, is like, you got to have conviction and be okay with volatility in the meantime. Let them ride.
Yeah. And I also say this much, like, this isn't the best time to cut positions, but I would say just in general, if there are positions that something's fundamentally changed in their business, or you've lost your conviction or whatever, like sometimes it is worth cutting and redeploying to conviction plays. You know, I learned that in the last market cycle where I like freaking held positions for years. And I look back, I'm like, I don't even know why I have this shit. So like, you know, you're gonna end up cutting at some point. So sometimes it's hard, especially if you're up on something. It's hard, really, really hard to cut, but sometimes it's worth it, man.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing too, to that point, is that like, because this is one really, really large ongoing case study, is that the initial inputs that you maybe use to create an investment thesis around something can be invalidated, and you have to be able to look yourself in the eye and say, I thought this was the case, and we've learned that maybe those are irrelevant points, or this has been completely disproven. And so that should be, sometimes you just got to be honest and say, now that's no longer the case, and I can move into something that maybe does meet at least the criteria of the day. And it's hard to do, but
Sure,
you got to do what you got to do.
Valid.
Yeah, looks like we lost Will. Oh no, we got him back.
Oh, look at that.
Anyway, Charlie just said, "Shut up now, come at me, bro."
Let's
He's ready.
go.
We'll get him on next week. Easy.
Let's get him on next week. I want to see that. I want to see a little throwdown in the on the privacy space.
If you need money for family or other important things, don't forget that it will go lower than you can bear. That's true. Probably, yeah, I guess having some position in stables or just fiat otherwise, such that you can handle your responsibilities, is certainly of the utmost importance. They never forget what it's all about, right? Like, especially if you guys have a family already, you got kids, and thinking about the next generation. I never get too frothy to look back about like what you're doing all of this for. So I'm not a parent yet, but at least if I were, that's probably where I would have my head at.
Never be 100% deployed. And I would say under this presidency, you should be less deployed than you think you need to be, because there's gonna be plenty of volatility. But if you don't have stables, bro, you can't act on that volatility. You can't take advantage of it. So
100%,
like
100%,
everything that's been built up for. So you know,
take advantage of the volatility. Yes,
tariffs. Big, beautiful tariffs.
The best volatility, my goodness. We've never seen so much volatility in our life. We looked around, we said, where did all the volatility go? And we brought it back.
Make volatility great again. Let's go.
Yeah, make volatility great again. God damn.
Oh, man. Will, any closing? Will, wait, first of all, before I continue, do I see
the Keyblade, yeah.
Key?
Yeah, remember, I showed it to you before. Yeah.
Pull that shit out right now, bro.
I did this before. I
want to see it again. There's no fucking
Wes has had too many mango mezcals to be able to remember. This is...
What the fuck, bro?
You don't remember this?
No. What? No, I don't remember. I must have been so slammed. No, that is so sick. That is so sick.
Oh my! I have no idea what that is, but
I can't hear you right now. By the way, hang on. Wait, no, go ahead.
It's from a game, right?
Yeah, it's from a game.
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. It's like one of the best video games ever of all time. If you were a kid at the time, like
best Disney IP out there. The best Disney IP out there. This is full metal, by the way. This is all metal. This shit's kind of heavy.
That is gangster, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's dope.
Man, let me know where you bought that, because I would love to.
Bought it off a sweaty fat dude at a convention.
Real. Sorry to go on a tangent there. I just can't believe I didn't notice that before. But Will, I would love to get your closing thoughts here.
Kind of similar to what Brad was saying. I mean, just dollar cost average. I mean, find your conviction plays, high fundamental conviction. Just expect a lot of turbulence, expect a lot of turmoil. Sit back, chill out, drink a beer, hang out and vibe. DCA. That's all I gotta say.
Tyler, I wasn't sure if your last stint was your closing thoughts or if you
We'll
had.
go with it. We'll go with it as the final thoughts. I'll let Brad take the reins.
Nice. My final closing thoughts are yes, like while there is a lot of fear, like man, this is the time. There's so much opportunity out there. And like, hey, like if you gotta, I will say like it's probably worth having some humility and also recognizing like if there's opportunities for you to do other types of work, such that you can increase a capital position, like a fiat or a stable position, then why not do so? I mean, one of my favorite people in the space, Suburban Crypto, I know is regularly doing Uber Eats. And that man is a very successful account manager for a big business, or was at some point. Like, but someone else might say like, well, that kind of work is below me, and still, he takes those things head on.
He uses that as DCA into Bitcoin. He DCAs into Bitcoin with his profits from his door dashing and Uber Eats.
Which that to me is that's gangster. When
Yeah.
we talk about that a lot on this show, like what is gangster and what isn't, and that shit right there is gangster. And I think a lot of people would benefit from following in the shoes of Suburban Crypto and many others who are like him. So,
amen.
Yeah, final takes there. Gentlemen, it's been a really good one this time, huh? Really like the show.
Yeah,
it's been a good conversation.
Oh yeah,
Hell
Good conversation.
We'll take us out of here then.
All right, cool. Well, everyone, thank you so much. Fantastic conversation per usual. My throat's a little charred from the cigar, but I'm having a great time.
How was the cigar?
It was fantastic. I had a Melanio. Melanios are my favorite. It's Olivia Melanio. And I love those things, man. Oh god, it's like a $20 cigar. Fantastic, really dark. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like coffee kind of. I drink my coffee black, so.
You ever have a Cohiba?
Drink it.
What's up?
Cohibas are overrated.
Cohibas are overrated. Yeah,
very
so overrated.
Yeah.
100%.
Cohibas are way overrated. I mean, honestly, the Melanio accomplishes way more, in my opinion, in the flavor profile, and for way less. So, yeah, honestly, fantastic cigar, fantastic time. Really, really happy that I got to pitch to the cigar shop. That was awesome during this call. So sick. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back again next week, 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Catch us then. Until then, don't get wrecked. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys then. Thank you so much.